Imagine lifting a spoon of cheese to your mouth and noticing it twitch ever so slightly, realizing the movement isn't imagination but something alive staring back from your plate. Now picture ordering an expensive soup at a luxury restaurant, only to learn that its main ingredient required the death of thousands of ocean predators just for texture, not flavor. Then consider a bright tropical fruit that smells sweet and inviting, yet if eaten a little too early, can poison your body and send you straight into violent sickness. These are not myths, horror stories, or exaggerated internet tales. They are real foods, real traditions, and real choices made by people across different cultures around the world every day. Human beings often believe food is simply about hunger and survival, but history proves that eating has always been tied to identity, pride, social class, and curiosity far beyond necessity. In biology, there is a concept known as island evolution, where animals isolated from predators slowly change their bodies, behaviors, and survival instincts because their environment no longer threatens them daily. A famous example is the dodo bird, which lost its ability to fly because there were no natural enemies chasing it, making flights unnecessary and eventually forgotten through generations. Small mammals on isolated islands have also grown unusually large because hiding was no longer essential, proving that safety and isolation can dramatically reshape natural development over time. Humans, although not evolving physically as quickly, experience a cultural version of the same effect, where isolated traditions continue unchallenged and slowly transform into unusual or shocking customs. Food traditions are especially vulnerable to this phenomenon because recipes are passed down emotionally, often protected fiercely, even when outsiders view them as strange, dangerous, or completely unreasonable choices. One of the most infamous examples comes from Italy, where a cheese called Casu Marzu is intentionally filled with live maggots that break down its texture into a soft, creamy, moving substance. The larvae are not removed before eating. In fact, their presence is considered proof of authenticity, meaning diners knowingly consume the cheese while tiny insects are still alive inside it. The danger appears when the cheese is not chewed properly, allowing the larvae to survive digestion and potentially live inside the intestines, causing infections and severe medical complications for the consumer. Because of these risks, authorities banned its sale in many regions. Yet underground markets continue thriving, proving that cultural attachment and thrill often overpower official warnings and legal restrictions. Moving from insects to the ocean, another controversial delicacy is shark fin soup, often associated with wealth celebration and prestige rather than actual culinary enjoyment or nutritional value. Surprisingly, shark fins have almost no flavor on their own. They are composed mainly of cartilage and collagen, valued primarily for their chewy, unusual mouthfeel rather than taste or health benefits. To produce this single dish, millions of sharks are killed annually, often having their fins sliced off while still alive before being discarded back into the sea where survival becomes nearly impossible. Environmental activists describe this practice as one of the most wasteful and cruel food industries, yet demand persists because prestige and tradition sometimes outweigh empathy and ecological responsibility. In contrast to animal cruelty, some foods are dangerous simply because of their natural chemistry, such as the Ackee fruit, bright in color yet hiding toxic compounds when harvested prematurely. When prepared correctly, Ackee tastes nutty and delicious, forming a beloved national dish in Jamaica, but if eaten before fully ripening, it can trigger severe vomiting and life-threatening reactions. This illness is so well known that it carries an official medical name, and several countries strictly regulate or ban the import of raw Ackee to protect unaware consumers from accidental poisoning. Another dish challenges not only safety but also comfort, involving bird nests made entirely from hardened saliva, harvested from cave walls and transformed into a gelatinous, translucent soup. The swiftlet bird constructs its nest by repeatedly spitting onto surfaces until layers solidify, creating a structure that humans later dissolve into broth and sell at extremely high prices worldwide. Supporters claim the soup improves health and skin quality, while critics argue it is simply expensive bird saliva, carrying potential disease risks that overshadow any rumored nutritional benefits. Perhaps the most controversial culinary ritual involves a tiny bird consumed whole, a practice once associated with luxury dining and secretive ceremonies hidden behind napkins and dimly lit tables. The bird is traditionally overfed in darkness, drowned in alcohol, roasted intact, and placed entirely into the mouth, bones crunching as diners chew without removing any part of its body. Covering the head during consumption is said to trap aroma or symbolically hide the act from divine judgment. Highlighting the strange intersection of guilt, indulgence, and cultural ritual, authorities eventually banned this practice due to declining bird populations. Yet its history remains a powerful example of how tradition can blur moral boundaries when prestige and exclusivity become involved. Across all these examples, a clear pattern emerges. Food often becomes more about experience, storytelling, and status than nourishment, pushing individuals toward extremes they might otherwise question or avoid. People travel across continents just to taste something rare, dangerous, or forbidden, proving that curiosity can be stronger than fear, logic, or even basic survival instincts at times. Cultural pride also plays a powerful role, as communities defend their traditional dishes passionately, seeing criticism as an attack on heritage rather than a conversation about safety or ethics. Social influence amplifies these behaviors, with luxury branding, celebrity endorsements, and online trends transforming unusual foods into global sensations almost overnight, regardless of underlying consequences. Psychologically, eating something strange offers a sense of bravery and uniqueness, allowing individuals to feel adventurous, superior, or connected to distant cultures through a single bite. However, this pursuit of uniqueness sometimes ignores environmental damage, animal suffering, or personal health risks, raising uncomfortable questions about where enjoyment should meet responsibility. Food is one of humanity's greatest creative achievements, blending science, art, and emotion into daily rituals that connect families, celebrate milestones, and preserve stories across generations. Yet food also reveals humanity's extremes, exposing how easily curiosity can shift into obsession, and how quickly tradition can turn into justification for actions that appear irrational or harmful. Looking at these dishes is not merely about judging cultures but understanding the powerful psychological forces behind them. From pride and nostalgia to thrill-seeking and the desire for belonging, every plate carries history, geography, and emotion, reminding us that eating is never just a physical act but a reflection of values, environment, and personal or collective identity. The next time you sit down for a simple meal, it is worth remembering that somewhere in the world, someone is tasting something far more unusual, risky, or controversial with equal enthusiasm. The real question is not whether these foods are delicious or disgusting, but whether curiosity alone should justify every choice placed onto a plate in the name of tradition or experience. Because in the end, what we eat says more about us than we realize, revealing our fears, our pride, our creativity, and sometimes our willingness to cross boundaries for a single unforgettable taste.